I'm a little crazy, but the world's insane.
Same.
Man, we had a good time at the Morgan Wallen
Oh
concert.
yeah, that was great.
First, no, it's not our first country concert. It was our second. We did that festival.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
great.
fun. Thanks to you for getting me into
Country, huh?
country music.
I know.
It was a vibe. It was sold out at the Dolphin Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah.
I didn't realize so many people like country music in Miami.
Yeah, and in true Miami fashion, the seats were pretty empty up
Oh,
until
yeah.
the very last minute when he was finally gonna come out,
Yeah.
which he took too long.
So
in my
wait, I
personal
mean,
opinion.
so he had that down right. He had the Miami
Yeah.
time down right, and then he came out to Rick Ross and Lil Wayne remix to the
Yeah.
Miami song. It was fire, man. That dude is like he's
awesome.
he's dope, man. Welcome back. So another we're like episode 6 in now.
Yep.
Congrats to us for
Yeah.
crushing it.
Continue to
Consistency.
do this. Fist pump, babe.
So, so what we've been talking a lot about lately outside of the podcast world is just people who don't support you, right? Or just toxic people in general.
Yeah.
And I know in the past, when you've had toxic people around you, you always, made excuses for them because you've known them for a long time or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, because who doesn't have toxic people
Yeah,
around?
for real. And especially in this day and age, I mean, there's no shortage of crappy
Toxicity?
people. Yeah, of crappy people.
So I think one of the biggest things we should discuss is like what actually makes somebody a toxic person.
Yeah, identifying a toxic person for sure. Because I know and you know that a toxic person is not like, hey, I'm toxic.
Yeah, never.
They usually come off as a really good friend, a family member, somebody who's supportive,
Somebody who's extremely helpful.
who has their ears open to your problems and issues. It never comes off as like, hey, I'm a person who has all these negative intentions. And maybe they personally don't have those negative intentions going into it, but it's just their nature.
Yeah, maybe they don't even know that they're toxic, right?
Yeah.
Because they have like a ton of
Yeah.
growth that they have to go through.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that their toxicity could be affecting, you, the other person.
Yeah. So I would say a toxic person is somebody that, I mean, on the obvious part, is somebody who's draining, right?
Yeah.
That this is the obvious, overtly toxic person, right? And we've had these people in the past where they come around and they always have a sob story,
Yeah.
right? They're telling you how everything's going wrong, whether it's their finances, their relationships, you name it. I mean, they have an issue or a cry about something.
Or they usually come in with like a victim mentality.
Yeah, like, why does this happen to me?
Yeah. And then I think the craziest part is that most times the people who have those traits of a toxic person, they come to you with their sob story, their never ending reason why they're sad and why
Yeah.
this happens to them, but they never have an ear for you.
Yeah, it's always about their problems.
Yeah, it's always about their problems. So like they have the time to dish out, that dirty bucket of water.
Yeah, and just throw it on
right,
you.
and just throw it on you. But then, we're human, so we go through things too. Doesn't necessarily mean everyone's toxic, but there's some people who go through some things, and sometimes they need somebody to hear them out or support them or be there for them. And most toxic people are just, they're very like all about me.
Yeah, I think especially that draining person, that's a good example of somebody who doesn't know they're toxic because they also feel like they're the receiver of toxicity.
Yeah, correct.
And that's the type of person who they think they're just telling you about their day. In reality, they're just bringing down your morale, they're bringing down your
Yeah.
energy. There's been people who've come to our house and
Oh,
just
yeah.
unload, and when they leave, we feel like completely like,
Yeah.
man, what was that?
One, we feel bad for them because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're good people. So like, two, we start coming up with ways to fix them.
Yeah, we do want to fix them. We have a couch, we have a chair that they usually come into that chair, they sit there and they just start unloading.
We want to fix them. So we go through all these scenarios in our mind of what can we do to help them and then little do you know that, little by little, you start to realize, I can't fix them. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not Mrs. Fix It All.
Especially if they don't want to be fixed.
Yeah,
Some-
which is most of the time.
And they just want to unload their negativity on you, and they like to hear some advice and they might agree with you in the moment, but once they leave, they're back to their
Oh,
normal.
that is the worst part.
Yeah.
The people who want all the advice in the world, and then you give them the advice, but they don't take the advice, and then a couple months go by, and they end up getting into the same mistake they got into months
Yeah.
ago that they had vented to you about. So then they come back months later, and they're almost telling you the same exact story, something you told them not to
Yeah.
do, right?
But it's never their fault, right?
Yeah, they never take
It's never
accountability.
their fault. It's they, their parent. They blame their parents. They blame their coworkers. They blame their friends. They blame their crappy spouse that they chose. They blame somebody. They never
Yeah.
blame themselves.
Yeah, it's never that they did something wrong, right? They never look within. It's more like, I can't believe I'm in this situation. What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a so the drainer. What are we gonna call them? The drainer.
Yeah.
The drain.
Yeah. The drain.
The drain.
Definitely the
So the
drainer.
drain is definitely a toxic person.
Yeah.
What about the ones that it takes a lot of energy from them to be truly happy for you,
Yeah.
or when they are letting you know they're happy for you, you kind of get an undertone of they're really not that happy for you. So you in turn don't relay good things that happen to you to
Oh,
them.
that's one thing I always think about. Like, pay attention to who you don't want to give your good news to, because I feel like your gut is rarely wrong. So it's important to listen to it, because if you feel like maybe I shouldn't say this to someone because I'm either going to make them uncomfortable, or I feel like I'm going to get some type of like low key hate.
Yeah, or some side comment that
Yeah.
it's like, oh, but that's cool. But what about XYZ?
Yeah. Well, give an example of that.
So, for example, you buy a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making up an example, but I've seen this happen to other people, and they go, "Oh man, congrats, you got a house, a townhouse, right? It's a townhouse." Oh, okay, yeah. No, when I get a house, I think I want a single family because I want the space and I want the
Yeah,
yard.
like
It's kind of like that side comment. You're like, "Yo, screw you! Like, why are you gonna immediately point out the negative
Yeah.
in whatever happy thing I'm happy about?"
or the much more positive thing you're gonna have over, what I have.
Yeah, it's always. I notice that a toxic person typically brings it back to themselves, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you say something, whether it's good news, whether it's bad news, they're gonna somehow in their mind turn it back about themselves and dish that back out to you.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to like listen to like well, I guess I watch out for the signs and like listen to your gut, because like we said in the beginning, not all toxic people are walking into your life saying, "Hey, I'm toxic." Like, they don't actually point that out about themselves. You learn it later.
That would be helpful though.
I mean, it would be extremely helpful,
Yeah.
but I think that's where we have to I guess identify that, and I wouldn't say cut them off, right? I mean, you could, right? I think that's the easiest way. But I think the more appropriate thing to do is maybe like creating a little bit of distance,
Yeah.
right? Not always do you have to cut everybody off,
Because some people you can't cut off.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but you can't because of
what? Social pressures?
not social pressures like family. Maybe you guys have some ties together outside of just a friendship. Like, it's not always easy to cut somebody
Yeah.
off. I know it's very popular in this culture just to cut people off. And I think sometimes people just need a little bit of distance
Yeah.
to realize, to get that mirror put in front of them so they realize their behavior. Sometimes they won't. I would say 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
they won't come to that realization. But every now and then, people do come around.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely creating that distance, because if you can't cut them off, or if you choose not to because, maybe you're kind of emotional too and you don't want to like upset somebody or whatnot, create that distance. Make sure that, you don't answer text messages right away. You don't always pick up their phone call. We're busy, right? So
Yeah.
make sure that you're busy.
Yeah, I think is more of that, like protecting your own energy, protecting your own well-being, especially if you know the person is toxic, creating that space. Because look, when you encounter a toxic person, it does affect you,
It
right?
does,
It
a
does.
lot.
It really does drain you. It makes you start not questioning things, but makes you just start thinking things that you normally wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
Right. So
And it can also create insecurities for you.
very true. Very true.
I think that not just meeting a toxic person, but, vibing with them or being around them, it doesn't end there with like how horrible or awful that can be for you. even after they're gone, it hurts.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you miss the side of them that may not have been a toxic side,
Yeah.
right? They were fun, they were exciting to hang out with, you guys had things in common, but so you start to miss that side of them, and I think that the negative weighs more than the positive, so you've decided to create that distance or cut them
Yeah.
off if you did. So you're still affected by it at the end of the day, even when they exit.
I think part of the reason why it is difficult is because if somebody's toxic, for the most part, you either had a lot of love for them at some point. Because a toxic person who's a stranger, it's really not a toxic person, because you could just completely remove yourself from them.
Well, they're not a toxic person to you because
Yeah.
you're not.
But
Yeah.
that's what I mean, right? So if you're categorizing somebody as toxic or as a drainer, that means you have a pretty strong relationship with them.
When it comes to family, for example,
Mhm.
that's such a tough one. And I say that because everyone has their their fair share of toxic, whether it's a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, or whatever in their family. And you can choose to continue speaking to them personally. And I'm actually not a savage. I'm an extremely caring person. But personally, there's boundaries I draw. And if you cross a certain boundary with me, I don't care if you're my blood cousin, if you're a family member. I think and this is not something I did before. I grew up. I feel like in the past, because you touched about making excuses for people, right? And I used to do that a lot, like with friends. I used to have a group of friends.
Yeah, when I met you, that was a big problem with you. I remember
Yeah.
you were going to go to like a concert with them, and you were like dreading going to a Beyonce
I
concert.
know, which I absolutely love.
And
by
I'm
the
like,
way.
how are you even like dreading going to a concert? And I didn't understand at the time. Now I do, but
I just think that sometimes you outgrow your group of friends because I think it's fun. Like when you're in high school and things like that, in high school, college, like your main responsibility is to have a great time, right? Is to build great friendships and have a great time. And what you mostly have in common are either classes, an extracurricular activity, other friends. You probably live in the same neighborhood. But as you start growing up, things change, right? So you might move to a different area. You might have different interests. You might mature a lot faster than somebody who you were at the same level with in the past. You might have had, faster success. A lot of things change. And I think in the specific friend group that I was in, it was constant, like, mean girl energy.
yeah.
And I think in the past, that mean girl energy might have been something we would laugh about, and it was funny until I became
The receiver.
the receiver of the mean girl energy. And it's not like, oh my God, poor me, because let me tell you, I dished it back. But it got to the point where, like, do I want to continue dishing back this energy,
Yeah.
like, constantly? Like, this isn't. I knew for certain that was not what Friends is about.
Yeah, that friend group had the whole package, right? From what I remember, they were draining, and toxic people also do a really good job at knowing your insecurities and poking at them. So they had the insecurity route.
Yeah,
They
they'll
ha-
come off as jokesters.
Exactly. That's the other thing you got to look out for. The joke that's really a jab to
Yeah.
the gut. They had that going for them. They had the fake happiness going for you. They had the judging and the sob side of it as well. So like they checked all the boxes
Yeah,
in that.
they did.
And I remember telling you, I was like, listen, stop, just because you have a lot of time invested with them doesn't mean that they're good friends. Maybe they were good friends at some point,
Yeah.
but time doesn't mean.
I think that's huge. I think a lot of people think that because you've been friends with somebody for 20 years, for 15 years, it's like, well, I've been friends with them for this long. That doesn't matter, because it's been that long that you've been stuck in a toxic relationship or toxic friendship. I don't think time should ever be like the factor as to why you're continuing to either hang out with somebody or be with somebody.
And it does factor in something. It does have some value, time, when you have time invested with somebody. But to me, that's the actual relationship weighs a lot more than the time, right? Because there's people that you only know for a couple of years and you have a fantastic relationship with them.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's definitely worth something, but it's not worth everything.
Yeah, and I also think that like as you grow up, your standards change, and it's so funny because I had someone tell me the other day, "Oh, well, your expectations are just way too high. Maybe you should lower your expectations." And the truth of the matter is, I have zero expectations for human beings.
Hmm.
It's not even about expectations; it's about standards. You hold yourself to a certain standard, and you either allow or you don't allow certain things to happen to you or to be treated in a certain manner. So oftentimes there are people who may not live out their life at the standard that you do, and they'll criticize that, right? Because
Yeah.
they're not coming from an understanding place. They're coming from a place of why do you want to be so perfect, or why does everything have to be your way? And it's not even about that. Like it's not about having my way or about being perfect. It's just about knowing what I truly accept to be in my life. Like
Yeah.
what is that going to look like?
Yeah.
And what am I showing my children by accepting something that I don't think is the right standard?
Very true. Very true. Those are all valid points, right? So when you do identify somebody as a toxic person, or look, the truth is, you probably already identified the person as a toxic person already. You just don't have the in you to do anything about it. But and how people typically react is with passive aggressiveness, or they get in a bad mood, or they get real crappy with the person, and that's reacting, right? So instead of reacting, just retract, right? Fall back,
For sure.
analyze a relationship yourself. Just have an honest conversation with yourself. And if you have an honest conversation with yourself, you'll realize that that person adds no value to your life. And then you retract. And then once you start retracting, like everything else in life, they'll either one, fall off the face of the planet, or two, they'll start coming around and changing their ways slightly. Remember what I said before, people don't always change. They evolve a little bit, but it just depends how strong that relationship is to see how they really are going to change.
Yeah. Here's what I don't recommend, right? I don't recommend that you like face the toxic person. When I say face them, I mean like you confront them. Because a toxic person isn't going to come
They're
to reason. They're not going to be coming. They're not going to be coming from an understanding place. They're not going to
master
ask you.
curvers. They're
Yeah,
gonna curve it. They're gonna boomerang it right back at you, gaslight
they're
you.
gonna gaslight you. They're gonna say everything in the book to defend their actions. So, like confronting someone that you've already established that is a toxic person is the wrong move. Do not confront them.
Yeah.
I think silence is golden.
Yep.
I think, like Mello said, like retract. And when they come for you with, I can't believe that blah, 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 silence. Silence.
Don't let
Silence
them
is
rattle
key.
you.
Don't let them rattle you because all they're looking for is a reaction continuously, even if they're your friends or your family member, right? It doesn't eliminate that.
Yeah.
They're looking for a reaction. So oftentimes you just have to figure out, who's who, and place them where they belong.
Yeah.
Right. I learned something the other day. I was reading something in an article, and it was about this psychologist who explained to her client how to do an inventory list on people, like, like get pen and paper, put the name of the person, and then, like ask yourself, how many times this year has this person made me angry?
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. How many times? Well, you do it for your inner circle, the people who are mostly around you. How many times has this person, brought out joy? And then you kind of start to like see, okay, from now on, I'm going to spend more time with this person, or I'm going to spend less time with this person, because that's the only way you're going to protect your peace.
Yeah.
It is the only way.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a valid point.
With that said, about taking inventory on people, you also have to be intentional about who's in your inner circle, because legit, like who's in your inner circle is who you share your good news with, who you share your bad news with that isn't going to use it against you later when they're upset, right?
Very toxic trait.
Who's actually going to feel bad about what happened to you and try to help you out. Your inner circle is just kind of who pours into your cup or who takes from it. So being intentional about who you call your inner circle, I think that's key. That's also another key takeaway to protect your peace when dealing, with toxicity.
Yeah, so you're moving from your inner circle to your outer circle,
Yeah.
right? So maybe that's not the person that you're gonna have around at every single holiday, at every single function. There'll be more gaps, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the interactions.
Yeah, some people, And this is a little bit sad because when I think about this, I can think about a few people that have played this role for me in my life. But some people are meant to be part of your chapter, like a chapter in your book. They're not meant to be part of your whole story. And that sucks because you really don't know when is the last time that you're gonna like crack a joke with that person or laugh or have a good time. But it's the truth. You're not gonna be around the same people forever. So treasure the ones you love, obviously. Behave in the right manner with those you want to keep around. And just understand that sometimes you're not necessarily gonna go through your entire story with the same people around.
Yeah. Again, I don't know if I would do a checklist of that, of the inventory, but if I were to do it and then, or if anybody were to do it and then see that it's somebody I actually really do care about, ends up falling on the wrong side of that checklist, that can be devastating, right? When
It
you
can.
realize I love this person, but man, they actually been real crappy. They haven't really been there for me. They say something but do something else, which is I mean, that's grade A toxicity right there. Hey, I'm gonna show up at this time or I'm gonna be there for this, and then they don't do it, and then have an excuse is why they didn't do it. Because again, it goes back to what you said earlier. They take no accountability. There's always a reason. Life always happens to them, and they never take into account that life happens to you too.
Yeah. But you know what's worse? Going through that over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day, and then you don't grow as a person either because, again, it affects you. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be affecting your mood and your mental health.
Yeah. So, sometimes life comes with like tough decisions that have to be made. And if you truly want to grow, and I believe from back in the day when you first met me to now, my growth has been wild.
Astronomical.
Yeah. So, I feel like sometimes when you remove those toxic people away, you start to grow in ways that you can't
Yeah.
even like recognize.
Yeah, you do, like we said earlier. You don't even have to remove them yourself. You just give some distance and let them remove themselves.
Yeah.
Because once somebody realizes that they don't have that power over you to make you feel a certain way or get those reactions out of you, it just no longer works. Like I said, they're either going to change or they're going to fall off the face of the planet. So
Yeah. And for those people who deal with the social pressures of like, well, I know so and so stole from you, or I know so and so made you feel a certain way, but they're blood. They're your cousin or your
that's
aunt.
the big one right there because everybody has a soft spot for
Yeah, and
family.
it's just like, don't listen to that. Because blood or not, you should never done that.
Yeah.
you
There's
know,
no excuse
there's no
for
excuse, and I don't think anyone's deserving of that. And accepting that behavior because they're family or because they're blood, what are you doing for them?
yeah.
Letting them know that it's okay.
Yeah.
Then one day they might do it to the wrong person who isn't family, and
Yeah.
then their consequences are a lot crazier than they ever thought.
Well, sometimes people do those things or they behave a certain way because it is family. They know they can get away with it, especially if you're an empathetic person or you're a caring person or a loving person. Toxic people know those things and they'll take advantage of it and they'll exploit it. So,
Yeah. I think that's why it's so important to, have those boundaries because, family or not, there are certain things that you are not going to accept. And I think it should show. Like the family should know, okay, well, that's not a line I'm willing to cross.
yeah.
Because if I do, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah. And just remember that you don't owe anybody access to you. So, whether they're family, close friends, whatever, you don't owe them access.
Yeah, you
Just
don't.
because you have that time or that relationship, if you want to protect your peace and protect your time and energy, you don't owe it to anybody except your immediate family, right? Your husband, wife, kids. That's it.
Yeah. And I never understood that phrase like, oh, they're your brother or your sister or your cousin or their family. I never understood it because I almost feel like because they're your family, they should respect you a little bit more.
That never
Right?
happens, but you're right.
Or better yet, because they're your family and friends, you should be harder on them and, kind of really establish a boundary as like, you can't do that because XYZ, because you don't want them to go out to the world and be, awful people. So like with more reason, because they are your family, here's why I am going to draw the line as to why you can't do this to me anymore. Because I think that you're also teaching them something for them to deal with like other people. And how could you not? How could you just let them walk into the world and be, an awful person.
Yeah, that's you also trying to fix people and say, I'm doing this for you. Like, I'm going to give you a pow pow for your own
But I
good.
think when it comes to family, it's not just I'm gonna give you a papa for you. It's also for me because I guess being selfish, you're more like, let me help them get fixed so that I can continue to deal with them
Yeah.
because I don't want to end up cutting them off, right? I think that's part of it too. It's just like when you're a parent, right? And your kids continue to make the same mistake over and over again. And you want to sit them down and have a conversation with them, and you want, obviously, they're your kid, right? You're trying to fix them. But then you realize that, one of the hardest things to watch as a parent is to let your kids fail, because it has to be like so hurtful to a mom or a dad. But sometimes that's exactly what they need to learn the lesson that they're going through.
Yeah, fall on their face.
They need to fall on their face. And as a parent, you don't want to do that because, number one, it hurts you. Number two, you want the absolute best for your child. But sometimes the best thing for your child is for them to fall on their face.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to realize, oh, wow, this is what happens when I act in this way. This is what happens when I, behave this way.
So, good example of that is, and I know it's off topic, but last night we were trying to let the kids sleep in their bed.
Oh, yeah.
And the way we've been doing it for the last month or 2 months is we put them in their beds, we read them some stories, do prayer, and then we stay with them and we console them and,
Until they go to bed.
yeah, play with their hair. Sometimes you'll sleep in their bed, I'll sit on their bed, and sometimes we're there for an hour, 2 hours until they fall asleep. Yesterday, you were like, you know what? Let them cry it out.
Yeah, I was over it.
So the little one and the big one started losing it, screaming. And I told you, I was like, look, they're going to vomit.
Yeah,
They're
gonna
screaming,
barf.
so they're going to barf. We're going to be here all night. They were losing it, losing it, losing it. And then about 5 minutes into it, the older one, she looked at us and said, all right, guys, take Aria, which is the little one, take her to your bedroom so she can go to sleep, and I'll stay here by myself.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do you mean? And
I
she
wanted to cry.
yeah, she was like, no, mama and papa, she's a baby. She needs you. Take her to your bed, and I'm a big girl, and I'll stay here all by myself. Out of nowhere. This literally came out of nowhere. She went from screaming at the top of her lungs. This is a true story.
Yeah.
Came from screaming at the top of her lungs, going, papa, looking at me with her arms out, screaming. She wiped her tears, and she said, all right, take the baby. I'm going to sleep here by myself like a big girl. And she did.
I couldn't believe it, to the point where I was in my
you were in
bed
shock.
staring at the camera from the room, because I was like, okay, she's going to get up any minute now. She's going to come to my room, or maybe she's going to go get a toy. Like, she went to sleep.
Yeah, and she called my name maybe 2 times after that. And then I'll come in and I'm like, what's up? She's like, no, I'm here. I'm doing good. I'm just letting you know that I'm doing good and I'm fine. I said, you good, baby? You're like, I'm good, daddy. And I left, and then she went to sleep.
Yeah, and in the morning,
First time
she
that
woke up by herself,
Yep.
walked to our bedroom, and said, good morning, guys.
Yeah, which is weird because she usually wakes up screaming or
Yeah.
crying for us.
For
and-
us to go get her.
to go get her. So that's a great example of letting
Yeah.
them fall on their face and
Yeah.
not getting worried about the repercussions or the work is going to take to deal with it, and it working out.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great example, but that's, something we can control. It's kind of like a baby example. What about the bigger examples, like when they get older, right? I'm not looking forward to that, by the way. When they get older and, they have messed up finances, or, and then you have to let them like dig themselves out of a hole. Oh my God, I would just want to do what a parent does. Just
Yeah.
give me all your bills and I'll pay for them, and then you
Yeah.
can start from zero, right? That's what you want to do. But you can't, because if you do that, you're teaching them, mess up all you want, mama and papa are going to get you out of this. And that's not that, like, we're not raising children to, end up living without us. We're raising
Yeah.
them to think that we're always going to be around.
Yeah.
And that's not our real responsibility as parents.
Yeah. I think we brought up a few good points on when you identify a toxic person, what you should do, right? You create, you retract, you don't react, you create some distance, you take an inventory, you start really protecting your peace. But another thing that you should do that you actually did recently, which is like it's a superpower, is you prayed on it.
Yeah.
We had an incident, right, where something really nasty happened at our house. And maybe we'll get into it. We'll see how you're feeling. But before that happened, you started praying, and every time you pray, you always have a topic, right? When you were pregnant, it was about having healthy babies. When we were buying a house, it was about making sure everything goes well. And your theme as of the last 6 months has been remove the people who don't serve my purpose, or remove the people who don't do anything for my life. And you've been telling me, you're very vocal about that. You've been praying
Yeah.
about that. And lo and behold, a chain of events starts happening. And the interesting is that something really nasty happened, but it forcefully removed a couple people from our lives.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack because that's, it's kind of pretty personal,
And recent.
and very recent too. But yeah, I'm not going to name names or anything, but there's someone dear to my heart who I have helped my whole life, through different stages of
From
their life.
diapers to
Yeah.
adulthood.
From diapers to adulthood, and different stages of that person's life. And never in a million years would I have ever thought that they could ever betray me in the way that they did.
Yeah. So personal and so
Yeah. And
disgusting.
I think I think that part of the reason why it was so painful, it wasn't just because of the act and what happened. It was because who did it, right? Someone who I opened doors to my home to, who I helped in ways you'd never imagine, who I tried to guide in life. So that hurt so much. But back to what you were saying about praying, it wasn't just remove the people. When this person did what they did, I prayed about it. And when I was praying about it, I was saying, God, please help me figure out who did this so that I can identify who can continue coming to this house and who cannot, right? So I prayed about that for months. I want to say it was like 2 months. And sometimes you have to be careful what you pray for
Because you get it.
because you get it.
So why don't you talk about what happened?
So, yeah, someone stole from our house some jewelry. And it was a family member. And, a family member that was here for Christmas,
Had
Thanksgiving,
full access to our
holidays,
house,
had full access
even
to our
when we weren't
home,
here.
had the code to get in.
Mind you, I think the key reason why I wanted to bring it up is because this person was a toxic person, right? We wanted to help them because we love the person, and they would come in here, and we're natural fixers, right? They would come in here with their problems, and we're like, well, here's all the solutions. We're gonna give you tough love, right? We're gonna tell you how it is, and we're gonna tell you how to correct it. And we're gonna, if it's with a career, we're gonna help you with career. If it's with finances, we're gonna give you a plan. If it's with relationships, we're gonna give you our relationship experiences and how to move forward. So we helped this person, I mean, a lot. And they would leave our house and we would feel drained. We're
Yeah,
like,
extremely
man,
drained.
yeah, like that was a lot. That was heavy. So I say all that to say this person was a toxic person that we didn't remove from our lives.
What's crazy is that, how I was talking about earlier about doing like taking inventory of your inner circle. I would have probably never even wrote this person's name down to take inventory
Yeah.
because I didn't imagine a world where I wouldn't speak to that person anymore. That wasn't even a thought. So you never think it can happen until it actually happens to you.
But they were toxic. And if you were doing a full evaluation, they should have been on that
They
list.
should have been on the list of
Deep
removal.
down inside, you knew they were on that list. But again, it's family. They're very well tied into our family. I mean, they're ingrained into our daily lives type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, so that was a really tough pill to swallow. And that's why I think a lot of my prayers, because by the way, guys, even if you consider yourself, because I really don't have enemies, but if you consider yourself my enemy, I pray for you too. I pray about a lot of things, a lot of people. I pray for people I don't know. And lately I've been intentionally praying about finally getting the right inner circle, right? Because I think people are so important. They can, they can help you raise your children the right way, or they can be the negative person your children watch and mimic sometimes. So I think because of becoming a mom and having little kids, I can't see a day where when I'm in prayer at night where I don't ask for that. Like, please,
Right.
Father, remove all the people that shouldn't be around me. And please add all those people that are going to bring happiness, joy, opportunities, growth. Because I think oftentimes we continue to pray for peace, but we have no order in our life.
Mm-hmm.
None at all. We're stuck parenting someone who isn't our child, like what we did,
Mm-hmm.
right? Trying to help somebody. Or we're stuck trying to fix our parents' problems, but you're not their parent. Or maybe you're stuck trying to fix, someone else's in your family's marital situation that has
Yeah.
nothing to do
Or
with
you're trying
you,
to control things that are out of your
right? Or
control.
trying to control things that are not in control. And again, that's you're not living life in order. Like, that's not. God has his order on how things should be. For as long as you're out of that order, you're never going to have peace. You're
Yeah.
never, because you're going to be running around trying to fix things that don't belong to you.
Yeah.
They're not your problem.
I think, well said. I don't think you want to tell the story. Do you want me to tell the story?
I mean, I think I did. I just didn't mention who the person was.
Yeah, but I'd like to tell the story.
I'd welcome you.
Okay, so when we were dating, we bought each other a lot of gifts and we used to buy each other a lot of jewelry. So my wife here bought me a Cuban link gold bracelet. I love the bracelet. I wore it all the time. I wore it, to on the daily basis. I wore it to whenever we went to events and stuff like that. And I used to wear it on this hand right here. Whenever I wore that bracelet, it went from my jewelry box to my wrist, out into the world, then back off my wrist into the jewelry box. I never left that laying around the house or anything. So when did it happen again? Like, give me the time
It
frame of when it
was
happened.
around Ava's birthday in February.
Of this year. So around Ava's birthday, we had this person who, again, deceiving, right? Very toxic, but then also a useful toxic person, right? Because they were helping us with something. I think they were helping us with some balloon arches or something. And they came into our house. And of course, we gave them the code while we weren't here. And they did what they had to do. And sure enough, at some point after that, I'm looking for the bracelet and I can't find it. So the immediate thing I go to is one of my kids took it because they're always opening my jewelry box. They're taking out my rings, my bracelets, my chains. They're always messing with it. And then I start asking Ava, hey, did you take daddy's chain? And she's like, yeah, I take it and I flung it around. I'm like, see, babe, it was the baby. We looked through the entire house, through every kid's toy, through their bedroom. I mean, we looked everywhere. Couldn't find it. In the back of my head, I would say, you know what? It's here somewhere. It's impossible for it to be anywhere else. Not once in my entire time thinking about it did I think anybody stole it, let alone that person. You start having some, like, you know, ideas of what could have happened, or maybe you start to say, maybe you left it somewhere. I'm like, it's impossible for me to leave it anywhere, right? So I started chalking it up as, look, I'm gonna find it whenever we move. When we move from this house, we're gonna be moving. I'm gonna find it behind a couch or something. And in my mind, I kind of just pushed it away, pushed it off as, I'll find it someday. It's in this house.
Only we ended up remodeling a lot of areas in the house.
Yeah, recently.
And what that caused was move the couches, multiple areas in the home. And we realized
It still wasn't
it's
here.
still missing. This bracelet is nowhere to be found.
And still, I'm like, I'm not thinking somebody took it.
Never.
Right? Let alone this person. Again, in the back of
Never.
my mind, I'm like, this is somewhere. It's somewhere in this house. So whatever. It sucks. I want to wear it. I can't find it. So
At this point, I said to myself, someone had to have taken it. I don't want to believe that, but someone had to have taken it. So this is where prayer began. And I said, I'm just going to pray that if somebody did take it, I hope that God sheds the light and shows me who it was, because this could be one of many things. So I prayed every single day about that for about, that happened in February. We found out in April.
Yeah.
So for 2 months.
And again, for those 2 months, I chalked it up as, I'll find it someday. In her mind, she started getting the inkling that this got taken. In my mind, the only people who come here is family, right? Friends never go to our bedrooms. It's just, again, it's one of those things that in my mind, it was impossible somebody to take it. So we go on a Disney cruise and we're there chilling in the cabin. And she jumps up and she goes, "Is this your bracelet?" And she shows me a screenshot of a bracelet like
On a Facebook story.
on a Facebook story on a countertop from this person's mother, right? And I mean, at that point, I'm like, I mean, yeah, it does look like it, right? I mean, it looks like my bracelet, but like that could be any bracelet. So she, her spidey senses are tingling like crazy. So she immediately responds to that person.
Like, hey, are you selling it? She ignores me. The next day, 24 hours go by, the Facebook story disappears. The next day, she responds and says, hey, how are you and the kids? And, what are you talking about? So I send her the screenshot. This bracelet, are you selling it? Oh, I posted that by mistake. No, I'm not selling it, but I know someone who is. What?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. At this point, I'm still like,
Let me know if you're interested, she said. I should have
yeah.
said yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I'm still like, that's weird. That's very, very weird. But I'm still like, for the person who we're now, who is a suspect, I'm like, that's impossible. Like, that would never happen. So we start looking at the pictures of the bracelet on my wrist that I had, and
we
it,
start comparing them. It was
and
literally the same
and
exact
mind
bracelet.
you, I know Cuban links is a specific style, but they're different, right?
They have different sizes,
Different length,
links,
different width, different millimeter
different ways
thickness.
of closing it.
Yeah, exactly. So this one was exactly like mine, right? So I'm getting suspicious and I'm like, this still doesn't make any sense. Lo and behold, you text her, she responds weird, and it doesn't sit well with you, right? We get home. In my mind, I'm kind of like, that's a weird coincidence, right? We get back and she starts getting anxious. She's like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. I'm going to confront this person. I was like, whoa, relax, right? Pump the
In my
brakes.
home,
I'm like, relax, because that's a wild, wild, wild accusation of what you're accusing this person of doing. And she was like, you were like, I don't care. We have to get to the bottom of this. So we had, why were people coming over the house? It was for
our little one's
yeah.
second birthday. Like we're cutting her
So
cake.
the whole family
And
friends were gonna come over, and she was gonna come over, and I remember towards the end of the night, everybody's like kind of cleaning up and leaving. She's in the room with you, and you tell me I'm gonna confront her.
Yeah, I told him, give me a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to confront her. So
And I'm like this.
I go to the room, and the first thing I said was, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, because I'm already being empathetic without needing to be, right? Because I'm here in the middle of dying inside. So I said, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, because this is kind of a wild question. Immediately, she starts to shake. And I said, I just showed her the screenshot. And I said, is this Melo's bracelet? And she started crying.
Yeah. She starts crying, and you didn't accuse her right away. You accused somebody that's related to her.
Yeah, because I almost couldn't picture in my head. Like I was there's just no way.
Correct.
Like, there's just no way that this
and
happened.
Same thing with me. I was like, okay, maybe she knew about it, but it can't be this person. It has to be this other person that's really close to her, much younger, right? Could make an honest mistake. So what happens is,
she was supposed to go back home to look for it.
Correct.
At this point, we're hopeful that it hasn't been sold, right? Or pawned.
Because I don't remember if the counter of where that was on was her house or somebody else's house.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I don't know. Apparently, at the end of the day, she said that wasn't the counter in her house, but I don't understand why you cry when somebody asks you a question if you have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. So she gave her the assignment as, look, I don't care. This could be water under the bridge. Just go find the bracelet and bring it back here. So she's like, yeah, of course, I'm going to find it. So she leaves for the evening, right? A day goes by.
A whole day goes by, and I text her late at night that first day, and I said, hey, any luck? Oh, I haven't had a chance to look because I had to go to work, and then I had a dance class, an extracurricular activity class, right? I had a class that I was taking, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, girl, I am not asking you to go find a pair of used shorts.
Yeah.
Like, this is something so serious. What do you mean you had to go to work and you have a class? Cancel it.
Yeah.
Like, cancel that. Abort mission.
Especially if somebody is accusing me or somebody very close to me of stealing something or misplacing something, I want to get that ick off of me as soon as
Oh
possible.
my
So it's
God.
gonna
I
be
probably wouldn't have even gone to work.
it's gonna be top of mind, especially if I hold this person in such high regard and they do so much for me. I'm gonna be like, look, say less. I'm gonna figure it out for you. And this person didn't do that. It was kind of as a matter of fact, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look into it at some point. And that's when you got fed up and said, you know what, you and that person come to my house on,
The next
the
day,
next
the
day.
very next
I
day.
need you guys to come here. So now me and her having the conversation, should I be here, right? Because the other person is a little bit younger. I could be intimidating to such a young person. So I was like, look, I'll wait in the bedroom. We have cameras everywhere. Um, Talk to them and see if we could get to the bottom of this. So she starts talking to the other person, and essentially what happens is this other person starts crying as well and starts saying, well,
I don't
I
recall.
don't,
I
no,
don't
no, no, no. They didn't say I
remember.
recall. He says, I don't remember if I took it or I didn't. And if I did, I'm sorry. Mind you, that line came out maybe 2 hours into the
Into the
interrogation.
interrogation, yeah.
And while I'm watching interrogation, once it starts, I'm like, nah, he's innocent. He's innocent. He's innocent. Like he's young. And then when he said, I don't remember if I did, but if I did, I'm sorry. I was like,
It's over.
come on.
And then, of course, still, I'm here hugging
Yeah.
both of
Because
them,
they're crying. The other one,
crying.
she's just staring into space. And again, let's say we blamed him and not her. She should be like, what is wrong with you? Confront, even put on the
Yeah,
show, like, what's wrong with you? Her look was just like, I got caught.
yeah.
We got caught. I got caught. Somebody got caught. He ended up confessing to it afterwards, saying, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm like this. Another whole sob
A whole
story.
victim mentality. I don't know. I'm like this. My dad doesn't love me.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
And again, these are people that we've tried to help. So got the whole confession, and she left here like, you know what, I'm gonna make it right to you. I'm gonna give you the money for the bracelet, this, that, and the third, because you were telling them that we have it on camera and we just want to avoid any issues. Just get the bracelet. We don't want to, we're close, right?
yeah.
Don't Let's not escalate
Yeah,
this.
let's not escalate it, because what I wanted to do was, and this is about social pressures, right? What I wanted to do was call the cops,
Yeah, which I was
right?
against.
Because and so was my mom. And the reason why I bring up mom is usually your parents guide you in different ways. And I feel like my parents' generation was all about like you deal with family things at a family level. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel the same way. But I think part of me was saying to myself, like, the only way that this person is going to learn their lesson is by getting scared, right? Like
Yeah.
making sure that they understand that their actions have consequences. So I was inclined to call the cops and just pretty much turn in the footage,
Yeah.
you know? And not doing it was not sitting well with me, because this has actually happened in my family before when I
Yeah.
was much younger. And no one called the cops on that person. And till this day, that person is still a thief,
Yep.
a deadbeat. He still sucks as a human being. So what good did you do to that person by allowing them to like not have consequences for their behavior? And I think I've said this before in in another one of our videos. Like, it stops with me.
Yeah.
And I've always said that, like, I'm here to break generational curses. And I'm not, a lot of times I'm not like my family, not because my family is horrible. I have an amazing family. It's just, obviously there's always one or two bad apples, right? I have an amazing family. It's just, they're different when it comes to that. We don't practice the same religion. They feel like things are, water under a bridge. It's okay if they spoke to you that way. It's okay if they crossed that boundary. It's not okay, guys. It's not okay, because then we have to continue to deal with this even generations after.
Yeah. So to wrap that story up, so this person, the older one, said, you know what, I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to send you the money and we'll take care of it. What it appears to be is they went home, spoke to the mother who had the photo initially, and they got a brand new battery in their back, and they started texting, "Oh, you know what? Run back the footage. I didn't do it." They both had the same talk track separately,
Yeah.
and it just became real nasty and disgusting.
Yeah, they started backpedaling and pretty much
Yeah,
said the next day that, you know, they don't even know why they
confessed.
confessed, because it in fact was not them.
Yep. Yeah, it
So,
didn't make any sense.
yeah.
And then the older one said, "You know what? That's not my problem. That's the younger one's problem. I'm washing my hands with this, and I'm just gonna take care of myself." Pretty
Yeah.
much saying, "I'm not paying anything, and I'm not dealing with this. Peace."
And at that point I felt like God said, I already showed you who it was. And you're not willing to cut them off? Here, let me give you a little bit more.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
could really cut them off.
And here's the thing, right? Like I said, these people were very close to us. Like talk almost every day. Literally help them move.
How much
You
time did we waste on them?
No, no, you can't get any closer than what we were with them. And you would think that, let's say the blame ended on the little one, the younger one, I would still feel so embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
When the reality is, it probably was the older one, um, but I would still try to make it right. And the only time you don't make it right is when you're guilty and you're embarrassed. And that's it. We haven't spoken to them ever since. They haven't tried to do any outreach, and they're no longer a part of our lives.
Yeah, or family,
Or
because
yeah,
they apparently also stopped reaching out to the rest of the family, I guess from embarrassment.
like, and my thing is, if you're innocent, do it. Try to clear your name, right? Try to
Yeah.
clear your name, and
Oh my God. Let me just give you an example. If someone ever asked me, did you take this from my house? I would
I
feel
feel
so insulted.
terrible. Yeah,
I would be like, first of all, absolutely not. And what made you believe that, or what made you think that? And let's get to the bottom of it, and let's find out who it is. And I would just feel so insulted, because I wouldn't have to think about if I did or not. I know for certain that I'm not going anywhere and taking anything from anybody.
just the accusation is damning already, right? Just being
Yeah.
accused, I'm like, you think I'm even capable of that? But this person comes from a lineage of crappy people,
Of that behavior.
of that type of behavior, which all the signs are right there in front of us, and we just knock them down because we've known them for a long time. We were there from Pampers to what it is now. And, it's unfortunate, but, that's something that you literally prayed about. And this person got forcefully removed, and it still hurt us on the way, right?
Yeah.
Because we lost the time that we invested with the person. Obviously, financially, we took a hit on whatever, and whatever. That's the least of it. The financial part of it, because material things can be replaced, but the relationship with our kids, they had a relationship with our kids.
Yeah.
So that's the problem when you don't remove a toxic person
Yeah.
early on.
That's a
Because
perfect example.
if we would have put a block on them earlier, we wouldn't have let them get so close to our family, so close to our kids. And if we did have to remove them, because this wouldn't happen, but if it did, it would be a much easier break.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why it's so important to really identify who, has toxic behaviors around you, whether it's friends, family, whatever it is. And again, if you don't want to cut them off, cool, create a distance and like create boundaries too, and make sure that you protect your peace and you protect yourself.
Because they will burn you.
Yeah,
right?
they'll end up burning you no matter
Toxic
what.
people are self-destructive by nature, so it's only a matter of time before they self-destruct or bring you down with them.
And we talk a lot about like friends and family, but I think like one of the the biggest like downfalls for the people who are accepting of toxic people, or those who are accepting of toxic spouses. Because that's who like you build a life with, who you live with, who you're with every single day, who will create major insecurities in your life. So if you are with a toxic spouse, hopefully you're not married to them. But if they're like a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you identify these things, like, yes, it's important that you love yourself a lot more than you ever love somebody else.
Because if you remove a toxic person, that's ripping off the Band-Aid, and you deal with it, and that's it. When you allow them to keep being who they are, you're just going to get burned over and over and over again until you get the ultimate burn.
And it can also like turn into tragedy, right?
Exactly.
Like horrible tragedy. Like, you remember that story of that girl that like stabbed her boyfriend to death in Miami?
Shot him. Was it?
Well, that was another one.
She emptied the entire clip.
But there's
Psycho.
another one that stabbed her boyfriend to death, and yes, of course, no one should ever murder anybody, but you
You
also,
think?
duh, but you also think about like, what did that girl go through? Like, what took her there? Never excusing her behavior
I
because
think
that's
she was also a
awful.
psycho because I mean, plenty of people have pissed me off, and I've never wanted to stab
A
somebody.
hundred
So I
percent.
think you're literally a psychopath, and that other person just uncovered it for you.
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe maybe you have psycho behavior. Maybe you could outgrow that, right? But once you murder someone, it's over, honey.
Yeah, yeah,
You're going to jail.
yeah, yeah. No, no, that's ugh, that's
And
nasty.
you have that in your conscience for the rest of your life. And you just like, killed someone's son or
Oof.
daughter. Like that's awful. So it could lead to so many like negative roads. Avoid it.
Have you ever been a toxic person?
I think we can all agree that there has been like growing up toxic behaviors that we may have picked up on the way. And of course, I'm pretty sure I behaved in a
Yeah.
manner that was awful
I mean, I know,
growing up.
I know for a fact. When I was younger, even earlier in college, I was always I think, a decent friend or a good friend. But I was a friend that if I knew you were insecure about something, I was gonna just jab at you,
So
just
mean.
for pure enjoyment, right? Because it's gonna get a laugh out of the group. Now, is that toxic? Maybe, right? I had no ill will towards the people, but I just thought it would be funny, and I wanted everybody to laugh. I did have I was a toxic uh, boyfriend one time in
No
my life.
way.
Exactly. I know
Not my
it's hard
baby.
to believe, but young, early 20s, where the girl I was dealing with in that era was super all in, and I knew she was all in. And I was like, you know what, this feels kind of good. This person's all in. I'm not going to be all in, and I'm going to have this person on their toes and losing their mind. And I did that, and I mean, that was,
Oh, then I was for certain a toxic
oh,
girlfriend
for
too.
sure, for sure. And I remember one thing she said to me was like, hey, your karma is gonna come back and bite you in the ass for all this that you're doing. And really, what I'm doing was just being elusive and just
Yeah.
not giving closure and just the typical BS that we do when we're young. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I ended up getting the karma back. So
Yeah.
karma's always
Yeah.
comes back around.
Karma doesn't miss a soul.
Yeah, ever.
It will come for you. There's also another form of a toxic person that is kind of difficult to identify, to be honest. But not necessarily is this person like mean or, you know, makes fun of you or anything like that. They actually can be like super nice. They're a good person, but they just can't seem to not copy every single thing that you do, right? It's almost like one thing is if maybe you have a great pair of jeans on and I ask you, hey, where'd you get your jeans from, right? I love how they look on you. Maybe they look cute on me too, and you go and you buy the same jeans because us women do that all the time, right? But then there's a whole other behavior where it's not just your jeans, it's your daughter's dress, it's the theme of the birthday party, it's
Captions on social
captions on
media,
social media,
uh,
word for word.
word for word.
It's a lot, right? It's just constant. I don't want to call it like admiration. I would want to
It's
call it
extreme
intimate.
admiration.
Like it's what's that word?
Imitating.
Constant imitation.
Yeah, I mean, when you first brought it up, I was like, "Oh, that's cute. This person
Yeah.
is like," and then it would be post after post, outfit after outfit, theme after theme, to the point where they took so much ownership in just doing what you've done that I would
Yeah.
joke with her. I'm like, "Oh, this person's gonna do X, Y, Z because you did this 3 weeks ago."
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing that bothered me more is the like give credit where credit's due. Like don't take ownership of what you're doing, knowing that
Blatantly copying.
like it's somebody else's idea.
And I didn't think it was a big deal when you first brought it up. I'm like, "Yeah, it's flattery, whatever." And
I actually didn't think it was a big deal
you
either.
didn't. Yeah, you didn't think it was a big deal.
I didn't. I thought I figured like, oh my God, like I love that this person loves like what I do or how I dress or that they love my taste. I thought it was like a compliment.
But then what happened? That person, they felt like they had more access to you. They wanted more information from you. They
Yeah.
started trying to get information for their benefit,
Yeah.
and then they started acting a certain way with you. So it's funny how that started transforming into this person being petty
Yeah.
and just overall not pleasant person to be
Yeah, like a
around.
lot of the reach outs was, can I borrow this? Can I do this? Can I, do that? But then, if that person maybe no longer needed it, didn't even give you a heads up, like, oh, thank you. No, I know. No, it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna not reach out to them. I'm not just gonna ignore.
I thought that was so weird. It reminded me of the woman who killed Selena, that she was like
Oh
obsessed
my
with
God,
her.
babe, that's so horrible.
I know, I'm just saying, because it's okay to, like somebody's style or like just how they are, but 100% imitate them, who they are, how they dress, how they dress their kids, where they go to vacation, like everything. It's kind of weird, and it's a little scary.
Yeah. And also, like, you also take a look at like whether they support you or not, because I remember
Yeah,
that there
super
was once upon a
unsupportive.
time where, so I love to party plan, and I decided I was gonna do some side business party planning, which I did a lot of, but it's a lot of work, and I'm busy with a whole career, and kids. So long story short, that particular person wanted to borrow all the things I did for one of my girls' theme's birthday, but hired another party planner.
Yeah. Well, I think, did you give her a price or something, or no?
No,
She just
she didn't
hired a
even
different.
ask for the price. She wanted all the ideas, but hired. So you're willing to give money to somebody, to a complete stranger, not to your friend who you obviously admire and love her style. I think that specific thing really got to me, where I was like, I'm being completely used. And right in front of my face, and I don't even realize it.
Yeah, and then because you give people so much access and you're so nice to them, they feel like it's okay to do it, and there's no consequences. And they didn't have consequences for a long time.
Yeah, they didn't. One, because I didn't even notice because I wasn't paying attention. Two, because I don't know. I just figured like just let them be who they are. But then when it started affecting how I felt, I had to put a pause on it. I said absolutely not. Like I'm not gonna allow this. And unfortunately, it affected other friendships, right?
Yeah, because they were related to other people,
Who are
and
friends of ours,
yep,
and it affected other friendships, and it's just
there was innocent bystanders and
yeah,
casualties
yeah,
that got taken out with them. Yeah, and that was last year, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so between the last, I want to say 24 months, a lot of people have been.
That's all that praying.
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of scares me because I do believe that when God wants to do something inside of you, he makes sure that you are like alone so that you can pay attention, so that he can have your attention. Um so sometimes it's extremely hard to like accept even what you pray for, right?
yeah.
Like you actually prayed for that.
Because you also don't expect to get it immediately sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes that happens, right? You pray for something, you get it immediately. It may not happen in the way you want it to happen or what you
Yeah.
expected, but
Or with
it'll
the
happen.
people that you wanted it
Yeah.
to
It's
happen.
like, whoa, 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 hold up. I
Um
didn't know this was
yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes if you ever pray for like patience, which I've stopped, God would create different scenarios to have you practice patience.
Yeah,
And I feel sometimes I don't have enough of it. So I'm like, God, please give me
definitely not.
patience not to react in this manner or to be a better Christian and I'm just like, oh my God, I've been praying for patience and this continues to happen. And then I got a word from him where it's like, you're praying for patience and I'm putting the scenarios to happen to you so that you could practice the patience.
Yeah.
So, me and my sister joke a lot about saying that I have like the direct phone number to Jesus, where I'm like, hey, can you do this for me?
Yeah.
Because, or maybe it's because I pray that much, right? Because maybe I don't just pray
Yeah. You don't
about it
pray,
once.
you don't treat God as a genie or as a Santa
No,
Claus with hey, I want XYZ. Your prayers are more
consistent.
consistent and more about improving your overall life and the people around you.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times, like, people are like, oh, do you pray about like money or financials? And I'm
Never.
like, never.
As you shouldn't, right?
Never.
It's
Like
not a
that will come.
yeah.
You pray
If
about
you live right and you
opportunities.
live in order,
Yeah, if you live right and in order, you pray about opportunities. You pray about, getting the right energies around you, about removing toxic people from your life so that you can have the opportunity to have, the time to find the right people that belong with you. And that will come.
yeah.
The rest will come.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end it right there.
Yeah.
Any parting words for our listeners?
No, I just would love for you guys to share on the comments, like, what you have been through personally, that maybe helped you identify a toxic person, or if you have questions on how to create separation with a
Absolutely.
toxic person, because we'd love to answer that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time, peace.